Our text for this morning is Psalm 139 and verse 7. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? Amen. Let's pray. Oh, gracious God, we ask that you will speak to us now from thy word. Help us to learn more about thee, for to know thee is life eternal. Gracious God, we ask this in the name of our Saviour, Jesus, your Son. Amen. Amen. There are many people today, very, very many people indeed, who say, wherever God is, they certainly don't feel that He's with them right now. Now what's interesting, it's not that the majority of people don't believe in God. I was fascinated by this. I looked this up. The impression given by the media and by the world around us is that religious belief is on a decline. But actually, it's the opposite way around. On Monday, the 27th of August 2018, in the Guardian newspaper, the journalist there, Harriet Sherwood, she wrote an article which she found herself very surprising. The impression is that religion is on the decline, and belief in atheism, belief in no God, is on the increase, and the very opposite is the case. 84% of the world's population are religious, and that percentage is growing year by year, which is incredible. And here in the West and in the UK, even though church attendance is declining, what they found is that 2/3 of the population believe in God or in some sort of deity, some divine being, some holy other, some ground of all our existence, some spirit of the age or of the universe. People believe in something. And that's interesting. I find it fascinating. Majority of people we speak to have some sort of faith in something. They may not accept organised church anymore. They may be fed up with all the corruption in churches and all these priests who've been down for abusing young people. And they may see all the money that's in churches and being spent on ornaments and gold and things, as we see in other churches. And it may be putting them off, it is. But yet still saying that belief in some sort of eternal being is growing. Now I find that fascinating. The reason being is, of course, we know this, every human being is born with this innate knowledge, innate desire to know God. It was the famous agnostic writer Aldous Huxley who coined the famous phrase, the God-shaped blank in all of us. He himself said it wasn't that he didn't believe in God, he just felt that he didn't know God, but he wished he did because he had a God-shaped blank inside him. And all of us know exactly what he's talking about. We know from comparative religions and studies of anthropology worldwide that every single country, every single nation, every tribe, every community, every group of people, there is in that community a desire for God. Whatever that God may be. Now there are many proofs for the existence of God. Many proofs indeed. And I find it a fascinating subject. I enjoyed theology, studying when I was at college, and I enjoyed philosophy of religion. And I've always found this an exciting area to explore. There are rational proofs for the existence of God, and what is amazing is that today they're still holding their own. One of the most famous proofs was by an Englishman. Alex, we've got to allow the English some credit. His name was Anselm, and he was the bishop in Canterbury in the 11th century, and he came up with an idea which still holds today. It's pure philosophy. and no philosopher can go against it. And he said, can you think of a great being, someone greater than yourself? And the answer is yes. And can you think of a being who's greater than all other beings, the greatest being of all? And the answer is yes. Now, can you think of God? And the answer is yes. Now, if you've got a God of the imagination, and then if you compare the God of the imagination to the God who actually exists, who's the greatest of the two? The answer is, of course, the one who actually exists. So he's the greatest being of all. And Anselm said, that means ipso facto, God exists. Now some people say, I don't understand that logic. I can imagine a unicorn, but it doesn't exist. But that's not the same thing. If you can imagine the greatest being of all, who's all-powerful, and he must exist, and he does, and in pure logic, you can't undermine that. And that's what I find fascinating. You go to university and you study philosophy, and they'll still tell you this. Now what's interesting, in the 1970s, there was a Czechoslovakian chap, well actually he was born in the Austrian-Hungarian Empire in 1906. So to actually say what nationality is a bit ambiguous, but he ended up in America. In the 1970s, he was a mathematician. Look him up online. His name was Kurt Gödel. And he was a mathematician, and he took this logic and he put it into mathematical formula. And he's come up with the mathematical formula that proves that God exists. You look it online. They put it through all the supercomputers, and it proves God exists. And you can't get around it. That's a fact, honest. Now, another great argument for the existence of God is by another great thinker, a man called Immanuel Kant. And he said, inside each and every one of us, inside every human being, is this innate knowledge that we should do what is right. Now, if there is no God, it means there's nothing good and nothing wrong. There's no evil and there's no goodness. And yet, inside of us, even every child knows this. We have what's called the categorical imperative. We know we shouldn't steal, we shouldn't tell lies, and we shouldn't kill. Now, where does that come from? If there is no God, Immanuel Kant believed that that's the greatest argument for the existence of God. But you know he's wrong. It is a good argument, but it's not the best. There's one argument that beats all others, and it's the one argument the Bible mentions. The Bible talks about the existence of everything. Points to the existence of God. Paul in Romans chapter 1, he said everything around us demonstrates the might and the power of God. And the psalmist himself in Psalm 19 says, the heavens declare the glory of God. Now the question is this, if there is no God, now what a foolish thought that is. But if there is no God, why is it then all this exists? How can something come out of nothing, by nothing and no one? It's illogical. And that's what the Bible says. And the Bible says, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. Now what is interesting is that deep down inside the human psyche, the human soul, we know this to be true. And what's fascinating to me is that religious understanding and belief is growing worldwide. Now that's exciting. Our numbers might be small, and so they are. But in the village you're round about, the majority of people have some sort of concept of the divine. If there is a God, if there is a God, people are saying today, well, I just don't sense him, I just don't feel him in my being. Now I want to look at this subject this morning. You know, it's not about your sense, and it's not about your emotions, it's not about your feelings. People say, they look at their lives and they feel that, yeah, there might be some sort of divine being, but I'm certainly not experiencing him in my life. For some people, it's when their income is affected, when their money is being taken away from them, and they're worrying about how they're going to pay the bills. A young woman, she takes a mortgage on her house and she sees an opportunity to start a business. She's in debt, she has to be, of course, and she takes on employees. And she has a good business model. She goes to the bank and they're all happy with it, and she starts a business. But all of a sudden, the government changes the goalposts, and all of a sudden she's finding that her own costs are far more than her income, and she sees that she's beginning to go under. And she cries out, "Oh God, wherever you are, you don't seem to be here with me. Why art thou cast down, O my soul, and why art thou disquieted within me? Hope thou in God." Well, I would like to. But God, wherever you are, you don't seem to be here with me. Linda and I have a tenant. He's a lovely man. He has his own business. He's been running it for years. He's a man in his 50s. He sells wood burners. He's got a good going business, and he just went through a terrible divorce, and he was fair to his wife, and they've got teenage children, and he gave her the house, so he came to us to rent a place from us. He's had a good business, so we rent to him a nice country cottage. It's a high rent. Linda and I couldn't afford it, but he can, and he's been a good tenant to us. Just last week, the government changed the goalposts. He's got 12 months now, and then the government's going to stop selling all wood burners, and his business is going to go under. "Why art thou cast down, O my soul? Why art thou disquieted within me? Hope thou in God." Well, I wish I could, he says. But God, where I am, you don't seem to be here. Other people, it's because trouble has come along and has hit them in their lives. There's a young man. He's got his life together. He's got a new job. He's got a new lady. They've fallen in love and they live together. They're renting a property. The two of them are trying to get on their feet, and they want to start a life. He's enjoying his new job. Then all of a sudden he's involved in a car accident. Actually, it's a true story. He's a tenant of ours. He was on a motorbike going to work, and he got hit by this woman driver, and she admitted that she's at fault, and his leg was badly damaged. And he was off work for 12 months. He couldn't earn any money. "Why art thou cast down, O my soul, and why art thou disquieted within me? Hope thou in God." But God, where are you when I need you? For others, it might be illness. It might be illness. There's a woman, she's got a family, she loves them. She's got responsibilities, her husband's not very well. But all of a sudden she's been diagnosed with cancer. Terminal cancer, she's only got weeks to live. She just can't sense God with her. She can't feel His presence. Where are you, Lord, now when I need you? Why art thou cast down, O my soul? And why art thou disquieted within me? I want to hope in God. Then there are others. They've got everything going right for their lives. They've got enough income to pay all their bills. They eat well. They've got a roof over their head. They've got a car. They've got a nice home. They've got all the computers they need. They've got everything going for them. In fact, they're well liked. They're popular. They're healthy. They're good with health. But there's something wrong in their lives. They're empty and hollow on the inside. They feel as if there's nothing there, and they've got what some people call the Marie Antoinette fever. Remember when she cried out? Remember, she had everything. Marie Antoinette, remember, she, in the 1700s, she was a princess from the Hungarian-Austrian Empire, and she was married to the new Dauphin, the new prince of France, who became the king, King Louis, just before the French Revolution. Remember, she was a beautiful young woman, and she was spoiled. She was a woman who they say said, when she heard that the poor people were hungry, she said, well, let them eat cake. Well, she said about her own experience, and she had everything that money could buy. She was beautiful, she was rich, she was everything she wanted she could have. But she cried out, she said, nothing tastes anymore. Her life was hollow, her life was empty. Why art thou cast down, O my soul, and why art thou disquieted within me? Why is my life empty? Oh God, wherever you are, I can't sense your presence with me now. But let me put it to you this way. These people who think like that and speak like that, and there are many who do, because I've met them and you've met them. Where they're going wrong is this: they're going by their feelings and their emotions. And we should never ever do that. You go by your feelings, and if you go by your emotions, your life is going to be topsy-turvy, upside down all the time. You're never going to be on a level keel. Never. Your life is going to be chaotic. You can't go by your feelings, because if you go by your feelings, I know if I did, I wouldn't go out of bed in the morning. What you've got to do is go by what you see and what you know. And we who love the Lord, we've got to go by this, His Word, God's written Word. And He tells us that we can't go anywhere and escape from His presence. We can take the wings of the morning and go to the uttermost parts of the sea, and God is there. We can climb up to the highest heaven. Then we can cast ourselves down to the lowest hell, to the grave, and even to the sulphurous lake of fire itself. And you know what? God will be there. And Jesus has promised to all who love Him, to every Christian, He's promised He'll never leave us or forsake us or ever leave us alone. And it's nothing to do with our feelings and our emotions. It's to do with this. This is what He's promised. And it's true. Now look back over your life. Look back over it. Never mind your feelings. Just look back over your life and remember what God has done for you. I love it when David gives his testimony. I love that. I love that when David, before he was a committed Christian, he looked back and he remembered that he went through dangerous times in his employment. And I understand that. When I was a minor, I was the same. And there were times when David should have survived and should be dead. And God was there. David looked back and could remember. At the time he wasn't aware of it. But David looked back and remembered. Look back over your life and remember it. Just a couple of weeks ago, as most of you know, I was helping, I was working at Clivesland. We're clearing the site, and I had a friend that some of you know, Lenny, with a digger, and he was operating the digger. There were a lot of logs there, and I had a bonfire going. And Lenny was busy, he didn't see me. I should have waited for Lenny, and I didn't. And I picked up this massive log. It was too heavy for one man, and it had a kink in it. But I was rolling it over to the log fire, the bonfire. You know what it's like, you know. You like to do that sort of thing. I love getting mucky, and you know what I mean. And I was rolling it over, and it was a good bonfire. I was enjoying it. I rolled it over, but I turned it the wrong way, and as the thing fell in the fire, it turned round and it whopped me right in the face, as you know. And it ripped my nose nearly clean off, and it knocked me into the fire. Wow, and it was some fire. I quickly rolled out of it. I just thought I'm going to be in a bad state. I thought my clothes would be on fire. Well, there wasn't a singe on my jacket, not even the smell of fire, and that's true. I lay in my front, and I realised that blood was pouring out my face. I didn't know what was wrong. I just thought maybe I was going to have a big black eye. I managed to get up, and I walked over to the car, and I picked up this old dirty towel I use for dry my hands. You see, I don't like using gloves normally. And then I put the towel to my face. Eventually I walked up to Lenny in the digger, and he stopped and he looked down at me, and he was horrified. He took me to the fire, sat me down to keep me warm, because I'd lost a lot of blood. He asked me to take the towel away, and I took it away, and he was horrified. He thought, what an ugly sight. I thought, thank you, Lenny. He said, you're going to be in a bad way. You're going to be badly bruised. 2 Sundays ago, John prayed for me. And I was beginning to have a bruise in my eye here. You know, John, I should all be black and blue, and I'm not. And what I find incredible is this. And I know it's down to adrenaline, but it's down to him. Because he was there with me. I never felt any pain, and I haven't since. Isn't that incredible? And although my looks have changed a little bit, Brenda thought maybe I should wear a mask when I preach at church, but I'm only teasing. But God was with me. Look back over your life. Can you not remember those moments, those inexplicable moments that shouldn't have been? You should have had disaster and you didn't. Whither can I flee from thy presence? Whither can I go from thy spirit? Nowhere. Because the Lord is there with you. Look at the Bible and see the truths there. Remember when the children of Israel were fleeing from Egypt and going into the wilderness and they had no food. Never mind money, they had no food. What did God do? He sent manna from heaven. Look in the Bible, you know the story of Elijah, when the children of Israel went worshipping false gods and God was chastising the nation, and he told Elijah to pray for famine, and Elijah did, and for 3.5 years famine came on the land so that the people would come back to God. Remember when Elijah had nothing to eat? Remember what God did? He sent the ravens to come and feed him, and he sent an angel to come and bake him a cake. And remember, it was that widow, her and her son, and she only had enough food left for one meal, and they were going to die. And she knew Elijah was a man of God, and Elijah said, trust in God and feed me first. And she did. And for 3 years, that food never ran out. Remember, last year we showed a movie in here. It was the story of Corrie ten Boom, that Christian lady who was put in the concentration camps during the Second World War for helping Jews. Remember in the story, her and her sister, they smuggled into the concentration camp a little bottle of cough mixture. And for some reason God enabled the SS guards not to see it, and it was hidden. Remember, for all that period she was in the concentration camp, that little bottle of medicine never ever ran out. Tell me, isn't it back over your life? Have you not seen God meet your every need? When Belinda and I first got together, we were going through some of my old notes, and Belinda laughed because she saw that a couple of years before I met her, I was writing down a list of my income and then my expenditure. And you know, when I looked at my income, it was a certain level, but when I looked at my expenditure, it was a lot bigger. And I didn't know how I was going to survive. But I did. I don't know where the money comes from. I do. It was from him. Remember when we got a bill, a quote to put in the new door, thousands and thousands of pounds, and Jill said, we haven't got the money. But it came. Look back over your life and tell me, has not God been there with you? And what about when troubles have come your way? Look back over your life like David did. Was God not there beside you? And when you've been in strength to lift you out of it, makes me smile that story Chris gives, that one Sunday he was listening to me preach and he had a heart attack, the cheek of him. I had to take him about a week later to the hospital, and he was in a bad way. I came for you about 7 in the morning, and Chris was in a bad way. Got to the hospital, and Chris prayed like he'd never prayed before. And they did all the tests, put in the scan, and they said, actually, there's nothing wrong with your heart at all. Just lately, Chris been to hospital, trouble with his leg, really worried about it. But they found out it's fluid on the leg, and Anne smiles because Anne says she's got a big needle to take it all out of you, Chris. But God's been there with you. 2 weeks ago when John prayed for me, I felt a tingle in my nose. All that bruising's gone away. God is here with us, is he not? Now there are times in all our lives when it's not money problems we've got, and it's not troubles, and it's not really our health issues. There are times when we're just feeling cast down. There's times when we've got that Mary Antoinette fever and nothing tastes anymore, and we've got nothing to look forward to. And there are times when we want to go to the doctors and we say to them, there's something wrong. I'm just not feeling right at all. And we're tempted to ask him to give us an antidepressant tablet. But don't do it. Don't do it. Instead, stop thinking about your feelings and your emotions. Stop thinking about yourself. And do what the Lord wants you to do. And that is to stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about other people. And praying for them. And help them in any way you can. And give Him all the glory. You know what will happen. He'll take that darkness and that emptiness away. And He'll come in and He'll flood you with His light. He will. And it's not feelings and emotions I'm talking about. This is experience. It comes from above. And you'll be on an even keel again. Because the Bible says, the Lord has not given His people, Christians, a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of a sound mind. Now, I've been a Christian now for many, many years. I was converted between 1:15 and 1:30 on the 16th of April, 1967, in the Sunday school. I remember it. Getting down on my knees and saying the Christian prayer. And my life was changed forever. And I just know it's nothing to do with my feelings and experience and emotions. I just know the Lord has been there with me all the time. I prayed and I said, Lord, forgive me my sins, for we've all sinned and come short of the glory of God. And I said the Christian prayer of trust. I now give you my life. I give up all my desires and all my wants and all my ambition. And now, Lord, I just want to do what you want. And ever since then, He's been there with me. I know it. Not my feelings, not my emotions. I know it. Belinda and I, we got together and we made a commitment to each other. I asked Belinda to be my wife, and foolishly for her, she said yes. We made a commitment together. We're married. Now, I know Belinda loves me. It's not about feelings and emotions. I just know she does. I can rest in that. I know it for certain. And that's what we're talking about here. Dear friend, in conclusion, for time is gone, there is absolutely nowhere that you can go that God isn't with you. Nowhere. And there are no troubles, no difficulties, no problems, no upsets that you have that God isn't there beside you and He'll help you through it. If only you let go and let God. I talked on Wednesday night about an illustration, and I'd like to repeat it. I like to swim. And when I was younger, I used to swim an awful lot. I used to go to the big swimming pools we used to have in Scotland, like the Commonwealth Pool in Edinburgh, a massive pool, and I could swim a brick underwater. When I was first the minister, there was a big swimming pool in Greenock in Scotland where I was, and it was deep, at the deep end was about 14 feet. And I used to like going in there in the afternoon when there was hardly anybody there, and I would go to the very deep end and I would just sink to the bottom, let all the air out and relax. I loved it. But what I used to do now and again was sink halfway down and just relax, and I was suspended in the water, and I enjoyed that. What I'm talking about is this. Dear friend, do the same with God. Let go. Let go of all your desires and wants and trying to control your life. Just let go and let God. Be suspended in Him. And your life will be changed forever for the better. Used to be a long time ago in Scotland, the preachers used to close their service with a blessing. At that time in Scotland was a time of persecution, and the government troops used to come and chase the Christians away. They couldn't meet in churches, they met outside, and Covenanticals were called them. They would put sentries up, and whenever they saw the redcoats coming, they'd fire a musket shot as warning. And the preacher would always part with his blessing. He'd always say to them, remember this, dear friends, remember this, that wherever you are, you're not alone. And where there's two of you, there's three. And wherever there's one of you hiding behind a dike, a stone wall in Scotland, remember this, you're never alone, for the Lord's promised never to leave thee or forsake thee. You'll always be there to comfort you and to carry you through. Whether can I go from your spirit? And whether can I flee from your presence? And the answer is nowhere. And if you love the Lord, He will surround you with His love all the time. Don't think about your feelings and emotions. Just rest in the knowledge of Him. Now then, may the Lord, in something that's been said this morning, and may He use it to deepen and strengthen our faith in Him, and use us to to be of service to others, so that we can give him all the glory. Amen.